Hi everyone, so my name is Jamal, my surname is Nxediana, which is very difficult to pronounce if you don't have clicks in your language, so thanks for trying, Julien. Okay, so today I'm going to speak a little bit about CUS, a bit about our background, about the group, our interests, and how we work as a collective. So CUS is an artist group based in Johannesburg. We started in 2011, and the group was founded by myself, Ravi Govender, Zamani Xolo, and the group now includes Christopher McMichael and Lex Trickett. So most of us don't actually come from an art background. We're not formally trained as artists. My background is in fashion and photography. Ravi's is also in fashion, but he's gone on to do a master's in art. Zamani's background is in sound engineering. It's in graphic design, and Lex is in animation, graphic design. Christopher McMichael is a PhD in politics. So we all come from very sort of different backgrounds and disciplines. Okay, and our membership is quite fluid. We've people come in and out of the group. So we've worked with a lot of other artists. Collaboration is a big part of our practice. And some of the artists we've worked with on projects, Bekhosi Sekukuni, whose work was featured as part of Tabitha Reze's project, which is over there. And we've also worked with Philip Pilliker, who's a Danish artist in one of our projects. So very sort of collaborative, and the group is very fluid, people coming in and out of the group. And our interests as a group, so we kind of focus on creating work that examines society and culture, especially with a focus on the urban South African context and also popular culture. We're interested in social and political and economic systems, so systems that have an impact on culture and cultural production. And we're critical of some of these systems, especially systems like capitalism and mechanisms of capitalism, for example, like influencer marketing. I guess we're more critical of systems and mechanisms of these systems that we feel have like a depressing or a retarding effect on culture and cultural production in Johannesburg. So the two works on show here are examples of our critiques. In Fire to Fire, we are critiquing advertising and how it appropriates and exploits culture. And in Fully Automated Luxury Influencer, which is the 3-part film series, we are we're critiquing on how it distorts the value of experimental and exploratory cultural production. So I'm just going to read an extract from a text we wrote about Fully Automated Luxury Influencer, which is one of the films that are on show. So our conceptual focus is on the rise of influencer culture and contemporary corporate strategy in which a brand symbiotically attaches itself to an existent consumer group. Marketing discourse presents this as a mutually beneficial relationship, but we can't help but see the darker and parasitic ramifications of such attachment. Influencer culture emerges from rapid evolutions in media, commodity, and technology. Politically, individual influencers and small groups can increasingly mobilize extremist sentiments to leverage themselves into power, as more saliently evidenced in the rise of Donald Trump. And such influence is mediated through often obscure assemblages of secret algorithms, government psychological operations, corporate lobbying, and emotional engineering. The vague but functionally endless concept of the influencer seems a strategy of power perfectly aligned for an era of augmented reality, mediated through social media and the internet. But our aim is not to produce a literal psychological treatise, but rather to explore the many facets of contemporary influence through metaphor. We want to use the genre tropes of science fiction and horror to map the surreal and baroque dimensions of influence. Our focus will be on the parasitic aspects of it, of a cognitive virus infecting, distorting, and reassembling reality in perverse new ways. This approach is influenced by the tradition of politically engaged pulp films, from They Live to Get Out, in which monstrosity serves as grotesque commentary on obscene reality. The setting is Johannesburg, a post-colonial metropolis which embodies the extremes of late capitalism. Squalid slums are towered over by gleaming corporate headquarters, looming over the landscape like spaceships. Toxic mine dumps surround paranoid suburbs, their quiet streets fortified by military-grade technology. But the city is also a center for culture, the home of the latest mutations in sound and style. With the help of a production network we have in Johannesburg, we tapped into the aesthetics that produce a story of influence run amok. Okay, and just to speak a little bit of our sort of interests and inspirations as a group. So along with the critiques of culture, we're also inspired by and celebrate vernacular cultures in the urban South African context. And our interest in vernacular visual culture has come to define our practice. We've always been interested in cultural producers who operate outside of developed or institutional arts and cultural spaces. So people who don't consider themselves as artists and aren't formally trained, but are more innovative in their approach and producing work that is visually exciting and has an immense artistic value. So an example of some of the people we've collaborated with filmmakers in downtown Johannesburg who make kind of lo-fi horror films. One of these guys is Vugani Ndebele. We made a film together. And we've also collaborated with an artist from Uganda. Her name is Nash, and she's got a studio called Nash Studio in town. And she makes like wedding videos, but like super interesting like wedding videos, and stuff that we feel like taken out of the like a sort of service provider context and put into like a museum or gallery space, could very much wouldn't be out of place, Okay, so that's CUS, and just to mention a little bit about Bubblegum Club, which is, so I mean, CUS is very much the sort of like this lab. It's very exploratory. We examine things and then we create very speculative sort of works. And then Bubblegum Club is more of the sort of practical, side of these, I guess, these like cultural like examinations that we've made, and it's finding ways to create, I guess, systems which will make this work and these ideas that we have more more sustainable. So Bubblegum Club is a digital publication and content production studio which was founded in 2015. And we work with brands and organizations, and we also produce work and also curate shows. So our model is quite interesting because we're basically use the work that we do for brands and organizations to fund any projects, any creative cultural projects that we have. Okay, so I think that's enough with Bubblegum Club because Julien mentioned that we'll kind of include it into the Q&A. I guess I'd like to finish with a short film that we made. It's a collaboration between ourselves and Faga, who are musicians and performance artists. And this was produced it came out of a residency that we initiated in Joburg. It was called Infinity Studio, and it looked at privatization, militarization, and escapism in Johannesburg's urban landscape.
Samantha Pike, who disappeared from her home in a Kyalami estate late last year, has still not been seen anywhere. It was during the height of the communicatia hysteriosis epidemic that she went missing. Her father, Deputy President Melusi Pike, has launched an investigation team to look for her in the non-estate areas where she's rumored to be hiding.
Nginenkinga la. Mntwana kaPipe. ngitholile.
We are encouraged to report any leads to 04357732. The dangers of intergeographical contamination can bring great dangers to our society. This is Mzabalazo Zulu with your news at 6.
Mkhize,
Yebo Shamaine. Wenze njani?
kunentombazane lana and mangibukisisa kahle lentombazane. She looks very familiar, man. Ngisoke ukuthi umntana kapheke.
Impela Shamaine?
Yeah. And there's a boy here, and I don't know if they are dating or, but it just all seems very suspicious. So, yeah, let's go and have a look.
Cha, masingena manje.
Okay.
Doctor, weed.
Tabo, this is Dr. Mkhize. He specializes in the caliber of illness currently affecting your...
Cousin, Samantha. My cousin.
Can we come inside and have a look?
Sure. Come in.
Baby, look at these photos.
Nah, umntana kapheke.
No.